Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be doing the book lovers tag. Now I don't think I was tagged by anyone in particular to do this, but when I came across it I thought it would be a cute little fun tag for you to learn some more about my approach to reading and my reading habits. I will leave the original post of this tag down below and I will also leave some people tagged in the description as well. Anyways, I'm just going to get straight into the questions, and the first question is, do you have a particular place that you like to read? And no, not necessarily. When I'm here at my mum's house, I think most of my reading happens in my bed, and to be honest, I think everywhere that I've lived, most of my reading has taken place in a bed. None of the places that I have lived apart from this house, apart from my mum's house, have had like a living space. But I'm really not fussed about where I read. I'm not one of these people that needs like a really specific environment or anything. As long as I'm comfy, then that's fine. Question 2 is bookmarks or random piece of paper. I love that like dog earring isn't even an option here. I am definitely a bookmark kind of person, although I have been known at times to use a random scrap of paper if I don't have a bookmark to hand. I actually have this cup, which I think I got from Primark. The reason I don't use it as a cup is because there is a very tiny crack in it somewhere and the liquid just leaks out. So what I use it for is storing my bookmarks, of which I have quite a lot. Now some of these are ones that I've bought, some of them are just like random free bookmarks that I picked up. So like this one, I bought this one. This is by Peter Pauper Press. And then there's like this one that I really like, which has Simone Biles on it, and it's like a promotional material for Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. If you go into a bookstore, chances are there will be some free like promotional publicity bookmarks that you can just take. And I'm an absolute fiend. I will definitely pick up any free bookmark that I can get. I don't know if this is going to make the journey to Derby when I move for university. Certainly a selection of the bookmarks will, but I don't know if this whole thing will. Question 3 is, do you have to stop at the end of a chapter or can you stop reading anywhere? I mean, I have the ability to stop reading anywhere, but I don't want to. It does make me feel slightly weird and on edge if I need to stop somewhere other than like at the end of a section or a chapter. It's just a completely like natural pause in the story when you get to the end of the chapter. And I do use chapters as like motivation when I'm reading. Like I will flick forward a bit just to see how many pages are in a chapter, and I will make sure if I have like a limited amount of time I have to read, I will make sure that I'm able to read that chapter in that time. Otherwise, I won't start that new chapter. So it's like, yeah, I can stop anywhere, but why would you choose to do that? Question 4 is, do you eat or drink while reading? And to be honest, I am shocked that I don't have a cup of tea right now because I normally just always have a cup of tea. There is something really lovely and cozy about settling down with a book and a cup of tea. It's not necessary for my reading. I don't, like, as I said, I'm not someone who's particularly like ritual orientated when it comes to reading. As for eating, I have been known to eat a whole pouch of chocolate buttons while reading a book, but I don't feel the need to like settle down with snacks in a book. Like sometimes I will just coincidentally want some snacks at the same time as reading, but I would never have like a meal while reading. Like I know some people can like eat their breakfast or their dinner while they've got a book in front of them, and I can't do that. If I've got a meal, I gotta focus on that meal. Question 5 is music or TV while reading. I would never choose to have either of those things on while I was reading, but if they're on in the background or something, that completely doesn't bother me either. Like if I am with someone and they want to watch TV or they're listening to music while I'm reading, it completely doesn't bother me at all. I can totally like zone out of it. Question 6 is one book at a time or several. Definitely several. When I was like a teenager, I thought like it was baffling, the idea that you could read more than one book at once. But it is a skill that I think you need a bit of practice and training with. And now normally I'm reading probably like on average 3 books at the one time. And one of those does tend to be an audiobook. And I think that is one of the things that really helps me with reading multiple books at the same time, is like reading them in different formats. So normally I will have like a physical book, an audiobook, and maybe an ebook on the go at the same time. Right now I'm not really reading ebooks because I'm trying to reduce my physical TBR. Another tip I think I have for reading multiple books at the same time is something that I don't always adhere to, but it is helpful when I do, and that is reading like different kinds of books and reading those different books in different places. So, you know, have like different genres of books on the go, so maybe like one classic, one sci-fi book, and one young adult book. Then again, this is something that I don't always adhere to, but in the past I found it really helpful to have like a book that I read in bed, and a book that I read in the bath, and a book that I read when I'm outside of the house. Which leads me nicely on to question 7, which is, do you prefer to read at home or elsewhere? I would say the majority of my reading does take place at home, but there are a couple of places or a couple of things I like to do elsewhere with my reading. I really love reading on a commute, so in a car or a train or on a plane, and I know I'm very fortunate in that I don't get like travel sick or motion sickness from reading while on transport. I know that's something that a lot of people just cannot do. There's just something about a commute, you know, you are sat in this one particular space for a set amount of time, and you can allocate that time to reading this book or finishing this book, and I just find that a really healthy thing for my brain. Like, it puts me in a really healthy space for reading. And if I'm just out and about, I will often be listening to an audiobook as well. Question 8 is, do you read out loud or silently? For the most part, silently, definitely. But I have been known to read the odd poetry collection out loud, because I think poetry is a form of writing that really lends itself to being read aloud. I find it really helps me get the rhythm and the pacing of the poem. And if it is quite a slim poetry collection, it doesn't add too much time onto how long it takes you to read it, whereas like if you were reading a novel out loud, it would take you a lot longer to get through it, but the time added on isn't as significant when it comes to something quite slim like your typical poetry collection. But yeah, for the most part, silently. Question 9 is, do you read ahead or skip the pages? And why would you read ahead? Why would you skip the pages? That doesn't make any sense to me. Sometimes I will like flick forward in my books to see like how much I've got left in this chapter or whatever, but why would you skip whole bits? That doesn't make any sense. And the final question, question 10, is, do you write in your books? And like, kind of. I don't write on the actual pages of the book, but I don't think that's like blasphemous or anything like that. Like, if that's something you want to do in your books, go right ahead. And I actually really enjoy getting secondhand books that have stuff like written on them. I think it adds so much to the reading experience, and I think particularly at university, like for texts I was studying, if I had like a secondhand copy of the book and people had written things in it, I found it really fascinating to like wonder like, oh, what were they writing their essay on? Just like learning about someone else's thoughts alongside your reading of the book, I think is a fantastic experience. But as for writing in my own books, I don't write on the pages, but what I do use is post-it notes. Often I will mark particular pages that interest me with the little tabs that like stick out the side or the top, and if there is something that I actually want to write down about a particular passage, I will use these ones. Anyways, that's all the questions in this tag. Let me know down below if you have any thoughts on anything I've said. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about my reading habits, and as I said at the start, I will leave some people linked down below and they will be officially tagged in this video, but if you fancy doing it yourself, consider this your official tagging. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you in my next video.